It was one of those nights when the rain felt heavier than usual, soaking the city in a quiet gloom that made every shadow look alive. The streetlights flickered overhead as I walked down the deserted lane, my shoes splashing in the puddles. Each drop of rain sounded like a distant footstep behind me. I felt a chill run down my spine as I noticed movement in the reflections around me. Something didn't feel right. Then I saw him. A man appeared suddenly from the shadows, his coat wet from the rain, hood partially covering his face. His eyes were intense, dark, yet strangely knowing, as if he had been waiting for me. "You need to listen to me if you value what you have," he said. His voice was calm but carried an urgency I could not ignore. I tried to speak, to ask what he meant, but he disappeared as quickly as he had appeared, vanishing into the night, as if he had been swallowed by the darkness itself. I stood frozen, listening to the echo of my own heartbeat. The streets were silent again, but the unease remained. My mind tried to convince me it was just a stranger in the rain, some eccentric looking to scare people. Yet, I could not shake the feeling that the world had shifted, even for a moment, and I had glimpsed something I was not supposed to. I had always been ambitious. Perhaps too ambitious. Lately, I had been thinking about shortcuts to wealth, about taking risks that others would not dare. That night, every shadow seemed to stretch unnaturally, reflecting fears I hadn't acknowledged before. The rain made everything glisten, and yet it could not wash away the tension crawling across my skin. The following morning, I found an envelope slipped under my door. The handwriting was jagged and almost frantic. Inside was a single note that read, "Greed blinds you. Watch carefully." I laughed nervously, assuming it was a prank. Still, I could not ignore the strange sensation that had settled over me. It was as if someone, or something, was trying to warn me of a danger I could not yet see. Days passed, and small strange occurrences began to unfold. My wallet would vanish, only to reappear in odd places. I began hearing whispers in empty rooms. A sudden chill would brush against my neck, and yet every window in my apartment was closed. Despite my growing unease, a message appeared on my phone offering a chance to make money quickly, more than I had ever imagined. The temptation tugged at me relentlessly, and I could feel my resolve weakening. That night, I found myself unable to sleep. The whispers continued, low and indistinct, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. I could feel shadows pressing against the walls, moving slightly when I wasn't looking. Mirrors became terrifying, reflecting not only my face but something darker behind me, delayed by a fraction of a second, moving when I had stopped. I tried to tell myself it was imagination, yet a deep part of me knew I was not alone. I began dreaming of the stranger. He would appear in different forms, sometimes standing behind me in empty streets, other times appearing in the reflections of windows and puddles. "You're walking a dangerous path," he said. "Greed will cost more than you think." I would wake up trembling, unsure if it had been a dream or reality. Each time, the temptation to follow the path of easy wealth pressed harder against me, and I could not turn away. The stranger's warnings became more vivid. I saw him in my dreams, pointing to faces twisted with sorrow and regret. People who had given in to their desires and paid the price. Their eyes were hollow, their mouths silent screams. They reached for something they could never grasp, trapped in shadows that seemed to consume them slowly but surely. Each vision left me shaken, yet the desire for wealth remained an annoying presence in my mind. One night, I could no longer ignore the signs. A clue from the stranger, or perhaps the universe itself, led me to an abandoned house at the edge of the city. I had passed it countless times before, but tonight it seemed different. The windows reflected darkness thicker than the night itself, and the door stood slightly ajar as if inviting me in. I hesitated, feeling a sense of dread that made my stomach tighten. Inside, the house was alive with silence. The floorboards creaked under my weight, echoing endlessly through the vast, empty rooms. The air smelled of decay, and something I could not name, a presence that made every hair on my body stand on end. Shadows moved along the walls, stretching and twisting like living things. I could hear whispers again, this time louder, repeating my name softly but insistently. I moved through the rooms, my heart pounding, and glimpsed them people who had fallen victim to greed. Their forms were shadowy, their faces hollow, eyes wide with fear and regret. They reached for me as if I could save them, yet I felt the weight of their despair pressing against me. I realized I was seeing what could happen to me if I continued down this path, if I allowed my desire for wealth to blind me. The stranger appeared then, not physically, but in a reflection on a shattered mirror. His eyes held a depth that words could not capture. "This is what greed costs you," he said. "Choose wisely, or you will join them." I could not look away. My own reflection warped and twisted, my eyes hollow, my face elongated in a way that made me recoil. I felt trapped between who I was and who I could become if I gave in to temptation. I stumbled backward, trying to escape the house, but the shadows followed me, creeping closer with every step. I could hear the silent screams of those trapped, their presence pressing against my mind. The walls seemed to bend and shift, a living labyrinth designed to trap the unwary. I ran until I reached the street, gasping for breath, feeling as though the night itself was watching, waiting to claim me if I fought. I woke up the next morning in my own bed, drenched in sweat. The envelope was still there, but the note had changed. Now it simply read, "You chose wisely." Relief washed over me, but I knew the lesson would stay with me forever. The stranger had given me a chance that few ever received, a warning cloaked in fear and mystery, meant to protect me from myself. In the days that followed, I walked the streets with caution, aware of every shadow, every reflection. The world seemed unchanged, but I noticed details I had never seen before. Reflections in puddles, subtle movements in the corner of my eye. Even the whisper of wind carried a weight I could not ignore. I understood now that wealth and ambition were not inherently wrong, but greed was a trap that could consume even the most careful. Sometimes, when I passed the edge of a shadow in a puddle or glanced at a window, I thought I saw him again, standing silently, watching. Not to scare me, but to remind me that some lessons are lifelong, and some warnings must never be ignored. I had been given a choice, and I had made the right one. But the knowledge of what could have been stayed with me, a constant reminder of the danger lurking in desire unchecked. Greed whispers, tempting and insistent. It masks itself as opportunity, as chance, as a reward for ambition. But it hides the cost, the shadow waiting in the corners, the hollow eyes, the silent screams. I know now that every decision matters, and that listening to warnings, even cryptic ones, can save more than just possessions. It can save your life, your soul, your peace. The city continued to move around me, oblivious to the lessons I carried. Rain fell lightly once more, and I walked streets that were both familiar and strange, every shadow and reflection a subtle reminder of the path I had chosen. I did not walk in fear, but in awareness, in respect for the unseen forces that shape our choices. And I knew that even if the stranger never appeared again, his warning would guide me for the rest of my life. Because some lessons cannot be ignored, and some warnings are not meant to be forgotten.